I think this is the only Sierra Leone only focused session that we've had that is going to focus on the feminist work and community work being done here in Sierra Leone.
Angela,
So we would like to tell Nalafem thank you for the opportunity to host this session. And all of you that are here, as the self-appointed ambassador of Sierra Leone to our guests that are just coming, I hope you've had chance to visit our beaches. I'm the self-appointed beach ambassador because we have some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. I hope you have an opportunity to go check our beaches out, check out our city. My name is Katamina. I'm an African feminist activist. I work as a mobilizer, a feminist activist, a lecturer, and a community advocate. I said that you please come in front. Please come in front and join us. Thank you. Please just move a little so we have time to, I really want us to have like an intimate conversation, so please, yes, thank you. Okay. So today we're going to discuss thank you. Right. Thank you. So as I said earlier, this is going to be, no, my panelists will sit here. Thank you. No, you can sit there. This is going to be a session just focused on Sierra Leone, the work being done here, the feminist and community work being done here in Sierra Leone. So I'm going to call up our panelists. I will call them up and they will introduce themselves as we go along. This session is titled, What Keeps Us Going? Resourcing Feminist Leadership and Community Power in Sierra Leone. I will first of all like to call up Aisha Morgan Conte from Purposeful to come up and join us. Please give her a round of applause. I will also call on Marie Jallo from IWEP, and she will introduce herself and organization to join us. We'll wait for the former president to take a seat. Yeah, okay. Marie. Welcome. Thank you for joining our session. As I was saying before you came, well, this is the only session that is going to focus on community work here in Sierra Leone. So I'm calling our panelists to join us. Last but not the least, I will call on Emilia Kamara Jengo to join the session. Thank you. So there's three women who are community workers, feminist activists, feminist leaders in this community in Sierra Leone, are going to share with us the work that they do and how they do the work that they do in the face of all this defunding, no funding, backlash, and everything. Because we believe that whether there's funding or not, whether the TV is on us or not, girls in communities, girls in societies are resisting every single day. Whether it's been recorded or not, there's a girl somewhere who is getting up at night to study because she had to clean the whole day and she has to go to school in the morning and she wants to get an education. That is not being told on TV. There's a girl somewhere in the province who has resisted child marriage, run away from home, and gone to another community because she doesn't want to get married. These are not all told on TV. So we know from our work and from engaging in community that girls every day resist some sort of violence, some sort of oppression in this state. So we want to talk to the women who are leading the work here in Sierra Leone to first of all introduce themselves, tell us about their organizations, and also then just tell us what keeps them going, the kind of work that they do, what keeps you going for the first round of questions.
Okay, so I am Emilia Kamara Jengo.
The Kamara is by birth, and the Django is my marital name. But I refuse to carry just the Django name, so they know I also have control over my very self, and so I used the Kamara Django. I worked in Makeni, Bombali district, the northern part of Sierra Leone, and I worked for an organization called the Women's Forum for Human Rights and Democracy as the executive director and co-founder of the organization. Our organization is a women-led and a women-focused organization, and we are unapologetic when it comes to promoting women's rights and focusing our attention on women's issue. So basically, most of the things we do in Makeni is to train women who are aspiring for political positions and other spheres of life in terms of decision-making processes.
Thank you. Next person.
I'm Aisha Morgan Conte.
Speak up, please.
I'm Aisha Morgan Conte. I work with We Are Purposeful. I am the regional lead for Anglophone Africa. And basically, my work is fully concentrated in ensuring that women, girls, young feminists have access to resources. Because we understand, just as Kata said, this work is going on every day. But money is political. And in order for us to ensure that the movement is moving, girls continue to do their work, we have to fund them. And generally what keeps me in my space is knowing that young women, girls, have access to resources that can build their initiatives, structure their work. They have access to unrestricted resources that will allow them to pattern their work the way they want to do it. It's also the fact that I can go to bed knowing that a girl in Putloko is actually building a safe space because she wants to build a safe space with the money that she asked for. It's also the fact that when we know that grassroots organizations are actually doing the work, Marie here is able to resource a girl that is raped. She's able to do this work. People like Emilia here are able to do the work because we're here because they exist. The grassroots people are the people who own the movement. So in order for us as funders to exist, we have to ensure that they are resourced.
Thank you, Aisha.
Good afternoon. I am Marie Jallo. I work with the Initiative for Women Empowerment and Peace Promotion. For short, we call it IWEP Sierra Leone. I'm the national coordinator. IWEP, we are committed to promote and protect the rights of girls and women in Kailaon district. IWEP was established in 2011, but due to funding challenge, it was not working well. But with the support from Purposeful, we have started working and we are kicking right now. Yeah. IWEP Sierra Leone, we always ensure that women and girls are protected from abuse, from exploitation, and also from harm. What keeps me going in this work is to always see that whenever I wake up, girls are powered. They feel safe. Their voices are amplified. So whenever I walk, I know that the girls that are living in the community in Kailaon district are safe. The women are empowered. They are able to speak up. They are able to speak out what their challenges are.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing with us the work that you do. Somebody mentioned today on the panel that we do a lot of initiatives in Freetown because Freetown is comfortably the capital. So we wanted to ensure that we brought voices beyond the capital, voices in rural areas, people working in those. So we're so glad to have Marie and Emilia on this. And even in Freetown, we know the struggles. We know how hard it is in working with women and girls. We know the laws that we're fighting for. We know the difficulties that women and girls go through. So imagine in the capital, what happens in a remote village where there's sometimes no access to services in those villages, that people have to move to district towns to be able to access services. So I just want Emilia and Marie to quickly share with us in your community, because we also understand that this work has to be collective. This work is rooted in community, and the change we want and the change we hope to see is going to be rooted and led by community people. So in this current geopolitical space where resources are really not available, where there's so much contending, there's the anti-rights rollback happening, how are you working in your communities? What are some of the things you're doing in your communities, and what's some of the responses and difficulties you're facing in your communities as you do the work that you do?
Basically, what we do in our different community is the grassroots campaign that we intensify, acknowledging the fact that the funding space, even for bigger NGOs, are shrinking. And so we focus on grassroots campaign. We focus on grassroots education. Another thing that keeps us going and the things we focus on is our vision for change. Like you rightly mentioned, most times people think Freetown is just Sierra Leone. Yesterday I listened to Ishmael, and he was saying there are a lot of days that could be remembered, in Sierra Leone's war, but we are just focusing on January 6th. Basically, because that was when the war actually entered in Freetown. And all of those other days that we affected, in those other areas, we just think, okay, they are minor days, we just don't need. So that is why we know we are of the fact that if in the city, the capital, they are also finding it very difficult, organizations are finding it very difficult, what about those of us in the remote areas, in those communities, when it comes to even writing project proposals, it's a very difficult challenge. So community engagement is one thing that we focus on. Our vision for change, we want to see, change happen. And we believe it has to start from us. And so we take it in our little ways, the way we engage our communities, again with youth-led activities. We have a lot of young people who have started organizing themselves. Probably they might not know they are even forming movements. They might not know that is what they are forming. But within themselves, at their own local space, they organize themselves, they speak out, and they mobilize community. So acknowledging the fact that resources is now very difficult to get, we also focus on flexibilities. We look at activities that are no cost or low cost. This is something also we are missing. There are a lot of interventions that are sometimes no cost effective, or they are low cost. You can do them at no cost or a very low cost. So we look at those initiatives and we ensure that we do the things we want to do and move our communities forward.
Thank you. Marie?
Yes, some of the work we do empower women. We give them the knowledge, we give them the resources, and also we give them the skills, because we want them to face the challenges, the patriarchy norms that the male dominance in Kailahun district are having with the women. So we do support the women, because if they are empowered, they will be able to speak out. And also we worked with the adolescent girls, because they are the ones who can bring change in the society. If they are empowered, if they have the education, if they have the training, they will give out in the society, and they will speak up, they will challenge cases. And I have girls now that are able to speak out. There are lots of men that they have reports, although we have some challenges with the judiciary. We have a lot of challenge with the judiciary, because cases are sent to the courts. Up till now, they have not been tried. We don't know where the cases are going. We also do advocacy, a lot of advocacy to the community stakeholders, because they are the duty bearers in the rural areas. So we give them the education because we want to hold them accountable at the end of the day. So these are some of the work we are doing in our communities.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing the work, the challenges, and how you're also overcoming these challenges with community homegrown solutions. And I think moving forward, somebody said today again on the panel that this is a great opportunity for us to reimagine funding, how we mobilize money, because in Africa, we always say this, in our communities, if somebody gives birth to a child right now, everybody brings something. It depends. Some people will come with money, some people will come with palm oil, some people will come with chicken. That is all philanthropy. But because we have focused philanthropy on the Western-based aspects of aid and not also breaking down aid and its rootedness in some of these structures that continue to oppress us, we then see that there's nothing for us. So I think this is just an opportunity to share that. And Aisha, as somebody that works in moving resources, Aisha is somebody that is in the middle. 1 minute she's asking funders for money. The next minute she's giving the money to us down here. She's right in the middle of understanding funders and grantees. So in this moving money, and we understand the importance of money as a resource, but one thing that's normally lacking, especially in communities like ours when we're funding, is moving money with care. What does it mean, Aisha, when we are working in communities, beyond moving money, what does it mean to move money with care?
Moving money with care is looking beyond philanthropy. It's looking beyond philanthropy. It's actually understanding that the grassroots organizations you work with might not have the internet people in Freetown or in other parts of the world might have. It's also for you to know that moving money with care is actually asking your grassroots people to inform your strategies that you make. Going back to them, asking them questions. My funding and strategies, my application process, are they applicable to you? Are they accessible to you? It's also going away from just building application forms for people to apply. It's actually you people, it's actually you making WhatsApp way of people applying. That's care. It's actually you calling out to people in the communities like, do you have a girl-led group down there? Do you know of girls in Port Loko that are actually doing this work? It's you being deliberate about finding the people you want because you know this work is happening. It's also that part where you don't come to control the resources. You don't come to control the resources. You come with the fact that you are also there to learn and support the work that is happening at grassroots level. I can't stay in Freetown and tell Emilia and Mary what's happening in Kailaun. I can't inform their process. I can go down there and learn to improve the ways in which I'll be able to work with them and build better strategies to work with them. It's also the fact that I move away from on spot checks to monitor them and go back to say, I want to support and learn from your work. Moving money with care, it's also that part where you tell girls that we have this funding that you love to apply. And if they say yes, do you have the internet? Do you have all those things we're looking for? If they tell you no, can we be able to help you to apply for it? It's me telling my colleague here, can you call the girls in Port Loko at 5 because this is when they are available to apply for these resources? Will you be able to be on calls with them? And it's that part where you're also very patient to know that girls will come back to say, we have changed what we have on the application form. You're flexible enough to say it's okay. It goes beyond the normal. It goes beyond you just beyond the normal. It goes beyond you just sitting down and building a whole application form. It goes beyond that. It's waiting and listening to what they're saying and actually be ready to move with that process.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aisha. And I think just understanding that the people in the communities, the people who are faced with difficulties know the solution to their problems. The problems is not coming, the solutions are not coming from us. Our work is to support those solutions, to work with the people who have their problems and to be allies with them. So thank you for sharing that. And I want to go back to Emilia and Mary real quick. We'll have a round of questions. I think we have some time. But I want us to talk about the people you work with, the girls and the women. And we focus a little bit on adolescent girls because we know that age is what ends up, all of us were adolescent girls before, and the access and the resources, we acknowledge that this group of people have been left out in so many decision making when it comes to their, like real life examples of the people you work with. If you work with real life examples of the people you work with, if you work with adolescent girls, tell us about the adolescent girls, tell us about the way these girls, in the face of all things that happen, how they resist in those communities, and what are some of the just 1 minute, like, give us a real-life example of something that has happened in your organization and how girls led the work in that, in finding solutions to that.
With the funds we receive from Purposeful, I would say we have what we called unrestricted funding. And I'm sure Aisha have just explained that one, you know. And so we have situations where these young adolescent girls have generated ideas for themselves and then ask for funding. We give it to them, and they initiate their own programs and implement it for themselves. We have what we call safe spaces, and in those safe spaces, they will develop what we call content and share with them, and then they will start discussing amongst themselves. But moving from those content, because of the funds that they now have, you know, the capacity that they have, we have groups who are now doing their own local businesses. And we have stories of, you know, there was a day I had one of the men who came to my office to say, I now have a very serious challenge with my girlfriend. She used to respect me. Even if I go out at night and come back, she will open and she will not complain. But now that you have given them money, she now owns a phone. She now have money for herself. When I come back, she will say to me, stop disturbing my sleep. So for him, he has been challenged. And that is because of the capacity and the empowerment we have given to those women. So to him, I am one of those terrible women in McKinney that are influencing, you know, young people to take up their power within, not the power that, you know, we give to them, but the power within themselves. So these are just some case stories I want to share to say. We now have girls who can do it for themselves, and they now know what it means to say, yes, I can say no, yes, I can say okay to this or that.
Thank you. Mary?
Yes, as my colleague was saying just now, from the unrestricted fund we had from Purposeful, we are able to establish Adolescent Girls Club in schools. And with the trainings they have had, one of the girls was able to speak up when her teacher was sexually harassing her. She reported the case to us, and we too took up the case. She was too bold on that day to say this and this and that my teacher has done to me. And he's bullying me in class. And she also said that I will be able to speak in front of him. But though we did not agree to that, but we reported the case to TSC and MBSSC, and the teacher was dismissed with immediate effect. And we had another case with one girl who her parent was forcing her to go into the Bondo initiation FGM cutting. After the plan they had was, after the initiation, they will have to give her to a man for married. And the girl reported the case to me and said that, please don't tell my parents. But I convinced her We went to her home, and she said what she already told me earlier, and we reported the case to the Ministry of Gender, and they took up the case, and the parents was reported to the FSU, and we signed an agreement that they will not initiate the girl to the FGM, and she will not get married. So that girl, she's a happy girl now in Kailao, and she's a member of the girls' club. And she's happy now, and she's also advocating to other girls that they should learn to speak up.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. It's very, very concrete, very tangible actions that we see happening in our communities. Before I give you a chance to ask questions, I want to just ask Aisha, because she spoke just now about moving money with care and what it means. But you need the money to move the money with care. So at the intersection of moving money with care and understanding that, you know, some of these ways in which we move money are so rigid that grantees and partners do not have an opportunity to decide what they want and all of that. And because also the people that are giving us the money are accountable to other people too, because funders are also accountable to people, right? Just understanding that dynamics, Aisha, and the way in which you move money with care, flexible funding and all of that, how has it been for you to access funds from funders? And also just thinking of how have you been able to talk to funders to understand, you know, the ways in which you move money, and how has that impacted the work you do here in Sierra Leone?
Kata, thinking about what you just said made me, generally, I will say this, philanthropy was not designed for women to lead. As much as it's coming, philanthropy at the rate at the movement right now is very shocked at what women are doing to the system. It was always designed for women to follow. So if we take it back, when NGOs started coming to Sierra Leone, you will notice that it was mostly male-led. And even with INGOs, the country directors were mostly male. So there is a hunch of the work we do and the things that we do. So for us, it's actually showing up with these realities. When we go to spaces as such, it's not just Purposeful who take up those panels. We allow people who we work with, and also our work is not generally here in Sierra Leone, it's right across the world. We allow the people we work with, our grantees, to access those spaces to talk about the work they do and the changes they are effecting in their communities. It's also us as an intermediary funder to actually put out this work, amplify the work of our partners, to show up in spaces, to inform the things that we do. It's also that point where you actually bring up the realities. It's never about just us, because it's a point where we know that it's a community. And this community needs us. So it's us bringing those realities to our donors, and also as Purposeful, taking the backlash of producing all the documents, because we do not want our grantees to produce those documents, those long reports. It's us sitting back, taking our time to go through those protocols, go through those processes bit by bit, meeting them, but at the same time ensuring that girls and women actually have the resource that they need. But at the midst of it all, is us having at the back of our mind is that we have to disrupt philanthropy. We have to ensure that women take up the space. We have to ensure that the movement is getting the resources they need.
Thank you. And just to add, I think for me, that's the beauty about feminist movements, because we've had movements. We know women who do human rights work, women's rights work, but when it's rooted in the feminist politics, it's then disruptive. It's how do we work in this system? How do we disrupt this system? And how do we build new systems? So I want to give each and every one of you an opportunity. We have some time to ask our panelists questions. We'll do a round of questions, and then we come back to them. And then we will close with Madame Salif giving us a closing statement. So questions, comments? Yeah?
Good afternoon. My name is Nyawera. I'm from Kenya with the Resource Center for Women and Girls. Aisha, how is funding cuts and shrinking funding ecosystems, and how is this change in the face of philanthropy? The mic. Hi, can you hear me? Okay, so how are feminist funders pushing back in the face of funding cuts and shrinking funding ecosystem, and how is the changing face of philanthropy enabling that pushback?
Thank you. Yes.
I think my question is about money. Beyond money for NGO work, how are feminist funders also supporting women political leaders? Because we know one of the biggest barriers for women taking leadership positions is funding, and mobilizing resources enough to be visible, to be able to scale up their visibility and their positioning, and also run against very well-funded incumbencies and all of those things. So how do feminist funders expand their scope to make sure they're also backing up the revolution we want to see in terms of leadership on the continent?
Thank you. We'll take one more. Yeah.
Okay, so my question goes to...
Yeah, the mics don't seem to be loud enough.
My question goes to Aisha. So we have the donor demands, which sometimes are very toxic. Can you hear me now?
Mine seems.
Thank you. So my question goes to Aisha. So we have donor demands, which sometimes are very pressing and kind of against the real needs of the young people, or rather the real need of the constituents that we serve. So how do you ensure there is a balance between the real need from the grassroots level, but also still meeting the donor demand without really disrupting the existing structures?
Okay, since most of the questions are about money, we will take it so we don't forget, because money is really important, and then we'll come to you. Oh, you want to add the money problem? Okay.
Okay, my name's Amen. I'm from Ethiopia. Well, I just wanted to add in changing the face of philanthropy in terms of women who live in the rural area, since it's very different between those of us who live in the city and then the rural area, and as well as the girls, the adolescent girls with disability. Thank you.
Thank you. So Aisha?
Okay, all the questions about money. I'll start with what Ivy said and what you said. For us, I'll definitely say, I'll take a practical example. There was a time when Purposeful had this very big funding, and that was with Wilfred, and we were working with DFID. But it got to a point where they pulled back, and they wanted to inform the decisions we made. As a feminist funder, it was a difficult decision, but Purposeful had to say, this is not the way we work. We had to pull out of that funding. It was hard. It led to staffs being cut off. But that was not actually how we wanted to work. So sometimes as feminists, the resistance also sometimes is to say no to a certain amount of money. It's difficult. It's hard. But sometimes you say no. But over the years, they noticed that we survived. We grew. We did the work. The 15,000 girls that we were working with, that they left us with, were still in that program. The 800 mentors that they left us with were still in that program. We found ways of reaching out to other feminist funders. We found ways, even though we didn't do the program detailedly, but we found ways of doing that program in which girls were able to do it. One of the things that we actually did that informed them that even in their own beds they could hear was a radio program. That radio program was done by staffs, and girls also informed that decision right in their rooms. Karakura Connection was meeting them. It was actually being informed in the spaces. So sometimes, for me as a feminist, sometimes there are times when donors will come with certain things. I remember there was a time when Irish Aid also funded us with certain amount of work, and we're there. Kata and I were going. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't go back to my grantees. I told them they will only report in the next 6 months. But if you can wait for the 6th month for them to actually do this work, you will see the results. We can't keep going back to them every 3 months or 2 months to ask for reports when the programs have actually not taken effect. So sometimes as feminists, as much as we want this money, it's also a point where we say no, but also showing them that this work happens with or without them. It happens.
Thank you, Aisha. Does anybody on the panel want to talk about money and the difficulties with accessing money in your communities and how that has impacted your work in community?
Aisha was mentioning the issue of defeat, and we know how that affected us. I think I lose like 5 staff, with that particular project. Some we are able to we had 8, 5 had to go. We are able to maintain 3 of them. And for me, I would say some of those challenges is because we also see financing feminist movement as charity. And until we realize that it's not charity and we move to the aspect of solidarity, then we'll be able to move our own, vision and mission. So even when we had that call-off of that project, what we did with some of the staff that left and some of the younger girls, it's to organize ourselves. I earlier on mentioned the aspect of doing no-cost or low-cost activities, and so, but also that will be driven by the passion you have for the work you do. If your mission is about the money, you find it difficult to do it. But if it's about the passion that you have to do what you want to do, then you will still find it easy to be done despite the financial difficulties that you go through. So I would say those difficulties are inevitable. We face them now and then. Like I mentioned earlier on, we now have a space where the donor space is shrinking, despite purposeful defeat any other group. And so what we need to do is to localize our initiatives. We localize them and we ensure that we do them the way we know how to do them. Sometimes when you go to the community and talk about feminism, they find it difficult to understand what is it in real terms. And so what we do is to go to them and make them understand what it means to be you, a woman, what it means to be you. So we take away the jargons that get them confused and then make them understand in a very simple term what it means to be you. And sometimes by sharing our personal stories with them.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Amelia. It's really important sometimes. It's very convenient when we sit in our spaces, in these spaces, and we use all of these big words, feminist, activist. And a lot of people will understand in this space, but we have a lot of feminist activists in our communities who do not know the word feminist and activist, but if you illustrate, like give an example, this is what you do, and then they realize that, oh, it's also a feminist action. I think it's also breaking it down and understanding context and where you are and how people are, and also understanding that feminism itself is a journey. Even with the words and the jargons, we are all still on a journey to understand ourselves, to understand what we're doing and the work that we do. I will take another round of questions, and then, yes, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Hussaina Tuba and I'm from Sierra Leone. My question is, I've had this question for quite some time now. It's not just about our social impact organization, but as Africa as a whole, how can we, position ourselves in a way that we are self-sustaining? Because we're so big on donors, external funding, how do we position ourselves that we are very self-sustaining?
So you just asked my final question to them. So thank you. They would answer that. Yes, I'll have 2 more questions. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Yati from Sierra Leone. So I have a question that I just want to ask. When I saw the topic, it says resource in feminist leadership and community power. I knew we were going to talk about money because money is political. But because I also work in the advocacy space, I know that we do this every day, and sometimes it gets hard. So yes, we need money, but what are other resources that we need to do this work? Money is political, but what else do we need to help us do the work?
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah?
Hi, I'm Lindsay, and I work with Purposeful. So I was going to actually make a comment with regards to resourcing feminist leadership and how we've been able to see that when we're working with girls, it's not only about resourcing them with funding, but how we've been able to do amazing work when we've been able to give them with also feminist political education. For example, the content we've been rolling out in these safe spaces has enabled us to see how girls use little refreshment money for different things rather than what it was meant for. So initially, these monies were given to them for snacks. And these girls came together based on what they've had from our show and decided we're going to use this money to send other girls to school. We're going to use this money to start up an agricultural farming. So these girls have been using their knowledge. And someone else asked a question about politics, how we've been able to link it. We're proud to say we have a mentor who is now a member of parliament in the Karine district. If we had given them this money, saying use this money for this, they would not have been able to think about going into politics. But when these funds go together with the feminist political education, we've been able to record such great work from the girls we've been working with. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank you so much, Lindsay. I'm going to go to our panelists to speak about resources beyond money, because care itself is a resource. And the way care has been packaged to us is always in very capitalist terms. You know, going on vacation, a spa day, all the beautiful things in life. But then it's linked to a lot of resources like money, right? What does care mean in a community where we don't go on vacations, where we're actually constantly activist and angry and mad about the systems that we're pushing against? What does care mean for us? And her question about how do we mobilize as community? How do we rethink philanthropy as Africans? What do we do? What do we hold on to? What are the legacies that our people have given us that we can go back to and say, this is how we are rethinking philanthropy and raising money? Quickly.
Years ago, we had a Years ago, we have a Survivor Solidarity Fund in Sierra Leone. And that fund was mostly led by Sierra Leoneans, and Sierra Leoneans gave for that fund that went out to groups. So I also know that as much as we say we don't have money, there's money here. There's money here, but sometimes mostly people do not want to put money in this work that we do. Mostly people feel like it's not necessary. But even us as feminists, I remember that people in our office, like people gave. So sometimes when initiatives come up, the support, first of all, is our community. The care you're talking about is us as feminists, reaching out to that person that has that initiative. It's not competition. It's not an individual vision. It's us reaching out. When Black Tuesday started in Sierra Leone, I remember Cherno saying that we're going to reach out to Asma. You reached out to that person. Another feminist again reached out. When you hear an initiative, another feminist again reach out. What can I bring? What can you bring? What can you bring? Then the movement moves. The moment we move away from individualizing the feminist movement, we will get the resources we need from ourselves. Do you know that the resources can be a girl bringing 10,000 leons? It can be a woman bringing 5,000 leons. We say when we have events at home, like generally in Kriopulnado, people bring money. Firsthand, I have seen where girls in Potloko gave money for surgery for a fellow girl. Where did that money come from? Some of them were doing it from the lunch that they had from school, the lunch that they had from people. So when we talk about the resources, if we want to take it back away from the West, let's start to think about what we have here. How do we cultivate that money? When you hear about a girl being raped, how do you pick up a phone to call the people who are doing that work? Where can we come in? Do you know somebody in the police? Do you know somebody in the judiciary that you can call to ensure that this case is moved forward? How many feminist lawyers do we have to move these things forward? We have to identify our community and we have to identify our people. Then again, we think about the money. But let's start our thinking about the resources we have as us first.
Yes, I will talk about participatory decision-making processes, which is very, very key. Once you allow community people to take decision and make them feel that they own the process, that they are in charge, whether it's physical money or not, they give their all in it. That is why in some of our communities, even with our young girls, they've started this initiative called the Village Savings and Loans. It's a very good initiative that most of them do not have what it takes to go to the bigger banks and keep their money in there. So what they've done is to organize themselves, having a box, and we provided those boxes for them. That is what they will ask you to do. And they're now saved. And we have a good number of those groups who have saved a considerable amount of money, and they are now using it amongst themselves. So with some of the initiatives that we have, I keep on talking about low cost or no cost activity. We now know there are days that they meet to check what they have. And so we now take our initiatives during those days that they have those meetings to check their resources. So we use 5-10 minutes to do our talk with them. We've done our activity without, giving them transportation, without giving them DSA. But what we wanted to do, we have achieved with what they have organized themselves to do. So I will say, participating in decision-making processes, having the community own the process for themselves, and making them feel they are in charge. Trust me, they will move it. Even with us women, I tell people, anytime I ask my husband for money for food, we had quarrels. If not, I will do it without even knowing he has given me or not. Because at those moments, I just feel, okay, I'm safe, I'm in charge, I'm Mrs. Django. So I can do it, with that kind of love. But once you feel threatened or the environment is very challenging for you, you start demanding. You start asking a lot of questions.
There is an adage that goes, he who knows it, he who feels it knows it. When you want to work with the community, you let them take charge. Like for me, what I call care is allowing the community to make decision for themselves. Because, for instance, I'm working with some women groups. When I enter the community, tell them what my intentions are. They tell me what they want to do. You see, they have the resources, but once you don't involve them, they will never come out with it. There is a woman that said, I will provide seedlings for us to do agriculture, because this is a rainy season. There is another person that said, I will pay somebody to clear the field, because of their involvement. You make them feel that they are the owners of the whatever thing that you come with in their community. So that's what care is.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mary, for sharing community care for us. As we wrap up, I would like to give Madam Salif the chance to say a few words and in conclusion to this panel. Thank you.
first more generally, because I believe the answers given, the responses have all been so informative. I've appreciated that very much. Let us know that the global environment is changing. Nationalism, populism in countries have now threatened what we know as global cooperation, multilateralism. And as a result, we see major declines in ODA, overseas development assistance. We also know that geopolitical rivalry is leading to wars that we haven't seen before. And that's forcing countries to be able to allocate most of their national resources to the rebuilding of armies and arms, to be able to protect themselves. We look forward as Africa assumes the leadership of the G20 dialogue. We want to be calling for reform of the global financial architecture. And in that, we'll be saying that we want to see on the donor side, on our support side, that resources that are given, whether it's philanthropy or whether it's ODA, that is directed to priorities that are aligned with the country's own vision and agenda and reflects those priorities as determined by the people themselves. We'll also be calling for a reform in scale. Yes, we'd like to see resources, microcredit, and all of those, very important to address the needs of those in the informal sector and others, to enable them to start to expand their own operations so that they too can become self-sufficient. But we want a scale in which we can also do the infrastructure that will enable us to be able to achieve the means of self-reliance and self-dependence. However, there are two sides to every story. Those are the requirements we ask of our partners. But they also ask us of certain requirements. We need to use our own resources more effectively. We need to give more to transparency and accountability in the use of our resources. We need to ensure that through our policies and our regulations, we open the doors for private capital, the one that's been missing all this time, so that we find the means to de-risk those capitals so they can come and we can see investment through the use of our natural resources, whether it's our mining, or whatever, our waters, whatever it is, that we can attract the scale of private capital to develop those, and that we'll use it for the good of the people. It's a challenge in these trying times for all of us to do what we can to support those policies of our governments that aim at the types of reform that I've mentioned. Yes, it's at a different level, at a higher level, but it starts down there. And that's why I listen to some of you saying resources can be self-mobilized. It may not always come from a donor's purse. It may come from us ensuring that the communities do the things that are going to mobilize resources from those things, whether it's farming, whether it's fishing, whether it's community action or individual action, that we can do enough for the self-sufficiency of our own improvement. Our own empowerment must be self-induced, self-propelled. That's when we can claim that we see Africa as a rising continent. To all of you, and everything you've done, and everything that's been said, bravo. Keep doing the way you do it. Do it because you believe in yourself. You believe in your community. You believe in your nation. You believe in your leaders. And you believe in the fact that you can excel and we can achieve the goals that we've set through our self-industry and our self-employment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I will not add anything else, but just to say thank you to everybody that's here, that after this session, it's lunchtime. Please go outside and have lunch, and then we'll be back at 2:30. Yes, we're back in here at 2:30. So